Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Shout out to all the subscribers as always. Shout out to anybody new locked in. Gratitude to you. I hope everyone is well. Let's talk about Tim Tszyu again. I know I've made a lot of videos about him. I'm probably going to continue to make a lot of videos about him. This fight with him and Keith Thurman is very intriguing to me. There's been a lot of media coverage which I find great. I think it's really good. It's been very interesting watching and hearing them go back and forth. It's been quite you know, respectful. It is. It's been quite funny and respectful, and I like seeing that. They've got a lot of respect for each other, you can tell. But in this latest interview, oh my God, Tim Tszyu, I'll show you the clip right now.
Well, the way I'm feeling now, honestly, I feel like a train wreck. I'm about to steamroll everyone. Simple. It's not just Keith. No, it's not just Keith, you know, no disrespect to Keith, but it's everyone. Simple.
And that reminds me of, you know, that movie Leon when Gary Oldman was like, bring everyone.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
Everyone! He is not messing about. He looks like, honestly, he looks like a psychiatric mental patient right now. He looks crazy. I mean that as respectful as possible. It's not a negative thing. It's like he's in a dark place. He's deep in training camp right now. He even had a little shiner. Do you see that? And look, he is just, it means, you can just, like, he means exactly what he's saying. And Keith Thurman's just sat there, he's soaking it in, he's experienced, but like, he must have been thinking, okay. But look, I love it. And look, Tim Tszyu is not messing about. He's coming for everybody at 154. And that's the kind of energy you want to see from a fighter, because that makes it better for the sport, and that makes it, it's just going to be, it's going to be a really good fight. And I also wanted to touch on some of the details about the fight briefly. I'll do it briefly in this video because I noticed a couple of things. I'm going to watch more footage and I'm going to do a breakdown of the fight. I've still got the like a lion catching a gazelle little 2 or 3 minute musical sort of artistic piece on the styles. I'm still trying to put it together, but Tim Tszyu came up with that analogy and I was like, that is a great analogy, and that makes a lot of sense, because you do have the more fleet-footed, bouncy gazelle that's probably going to be on the run from the big lion that's going to chase him down. I think it's a great analogy, so I'm going to do that. But you know, for this one, I'll talk about a couple of things that I saw in the Barrios fight. I've already mentioned one of them, but I'll talk about that again. But there's a moment, I'll bring up the footage right now as I'm talking. If you can see Keith Thurman here, he's elected to kind of bounce off the back foot, and his lateral movement is very good, side to side. He's constantly thinking, he's watching his opponent come in. And he's also drawing in him as a little trap, right? Because Keith Thurman can counterpunch, right? So as you see him bouncing side to side here, he then decides to set his feet and stationary, and then he raises his guard, waiting for Barrios to come in, and then he just shoots off a mean left hook, right? And it fast too, but he's you know, trying to draw him in for this left hook. So what I find interesting is, look, Tszyu will be, you know, aware of their counterpunching ability, as will Thurman's. Tim Tszyu can counterpunch very well, and that's what makes it very interesting, because he's not just going to let Thurman tee off on him. He's going to get hit with something. But in this situation, which I think probably could play out at times, you know, Tszyu will be coming in to try to land either a right hand or maybe dig to the body or a 1-2, whatever it is. But will Tszyu just walk through this left hook? Because there's been, in the Gachet fight, he got caught with a couple of shots. He got caught, I'll try and find the footage and pull it up. He got caught with he shoulder rolled something, got caught with a left hook, and still ended up throwing a right hand and catching him. So my point is, he's willing to go through your shots to get his own off. And I'm not saying he's going to just recklessly let Thurman hit him, but if it's a situation where, you know, you can walk through fire to take one to give one, Tszyu's going to do that, and he'll probably come off better because he is the bigger man, and he does punch, I'd say, probably slightly harder. You know, Keith Thurman hasn't actually knocked anybody out in 9 years, something like that. So you do have to put that into play, especially the fact Tszyu's 155 pounds. This fight's at 155, but Tszyu's probably a bigger guy. I think Thurman will be biggish on the night. You know, he'll be a decent size, but I think Tszyu will be the bigger man, and he's probably the harder puncher. So that would favor him, and it's just the tenacity and the desire to get in that position and be willing to. His dad was the same. I made a documentary about him and his dad, not kind of a film study documentary, like father, like son. I'll leave the link up here if you missed that, but I spoke about that. I'm like, they're willing to get in that zone and just take a couple to land theirs, you know, just not disregard, because Tim's very intelligent. He knows he's able to calculate his way through the fire, it's so difficult to do that when you're boxing. And I'll try to explain why. It's like when you are trying to attack somebody, right, you're just thinking offense. There's a lot of stuff going on in your head, and it can, you know, when your mind is trying to calculate everything, to add defense to that as well, it's a lot, you know. It's just, it requires a serious amount of mental power to be able to do both those things. And he can do that, Tim Tszyu can, and he can do it very well, and counterpunch. But to have the desire and the will to just, you know, take what's coming and go through it too, systematically. Keith Thurman's going to have a hard night's work on his hand. He really is. But that's one of the situations which I think Thurman will probably look to counterpunch, where he's going to be fleet-footed on the side, and then, you know, the gazelle will get trapped at some point, and he's got a moment to, you know, reel off hooks or whatever. I know Thurman likes an overhand right, but that's a hard shot to counterpunch with. In fact, it's virtually impossible. Not impossible, but an overhand right. Keith Thurman likes to come around the side and come up like that with an uppercut, which I'll get onto that in the fight breakdown, because that's a punch I've seen him do loads of times, which, you know, I think he might deploy, because it's a very unorthodox way of throwing it. And being unorthodox is something I think you need to do when you're breaking through a counterpunch system like Tim Tszyu. You got to break the rhythm a little bit, you know. You can't be too predictable. And Thurman, another thing I'll touch on right now in the Barrios fight, where he went to throw a right hook like that, or like a choppy right hand like that, paused it, got a reaction from Barrios. I'll pull the footage up right now, and then came through with a, I was going to say thunderous left hook. It was a decent left hook, and it wobbled Barrios. And those are the little things too that you trying to break through the matrix, if you will. You know, you need to feint like that, or throw little foot feints, head feints, hand feints, whatever they are, just to get that little lapse of concentration. And you'll see it when Barrios did that. He ducked to the side like that. And that's your entry point right there, and it worked. And that's another way that Keith Thurman can have some success. Because look, I've made a lot of Tim Tszyu videos, right? I'm a high on this guy, right, big time. But I'm also very objective, and I really like Keith Thurman. I do. I've defended him when people were saying, "What's Keith Thurman up to? Why is he taking so much time off?" Go and watch the video that I did the pre-fight breakdown for Barrios. So those were, you know, that's a cringe-worthy video, because that was in my earlier days of trying to get my YouTube kind of energy right, and it was a weird video. But nonetheless, I was like, Keith Thurman could play his flute. I'm okay with that. I think he should take time off. It's okay. I've always enjoyed his interviews. He's always very articulate, and, you know, I've long defended him, so I don't really have a horse in the race like that. I made the best man win at the end of the day. I really like both fighters, and they're good for the sport. I think this is a good fight. Still some people out there poo-pooing this fight, but, you know, Keith Thurman, you know, I don't think I've heard someone refer to themselves in the third person as much as him. I heard, like, it's just constantly the interviews. I think he's slowly toning that down a little bit, because it has been a bit overboard. But if you haven't seen that interview, check it out. Let me know your thoughts on the fight as well. I appreciate you guys. I know there's a lot of Australians that watch this. I know I really appreciate your comments and stuff like that. Or, you know, if you did enjoy the video, hit the like button. Don't know what time it is over there. It's probably in the afternoon right now. But whatever you do, have a great weekend. If you're in America, have a great weekend. If you're in the UK, have a great weekend. All right, peace. I'm out.
Well, the way I'm feeling now, honestly, I feel like a train wreck. I'm about to steamroll everyone. Simple. It's not just Keith. No, it's not just Keith, you know, no disrespect to Keith, but it's everyone.
Everyone! Boxing.
On the edge.